Hey guys, Handy Capable Gamer here with you today, and I'm bringing you my review of Horizon Zero Dawn. You might be asking what took so long for me to get this review up. Well, I really got sucked into the world of this game, and I ended up going for the Platinum. I just got it about 2 days ago. I spent about 75 hours with this game, and I know a lot of you might be saying, wow, that's a lot of time to spend on a game like this. But I was having so much fun that I really took my time with it and absorbed the story and the world. And honestly, every minute I spent with it was worth it to me. Now, I was somebody that really enjoyed the Killzone series, and was dead set on playing Horizon as soon as it came out regardless. But Guerrilla Games really exceeded my expectations with this title. As a matter of fact, their transition from the Killzone series to this new IP, which appears as though it's going to become a franchise based on the sales, is equivalent to Naughty Dog going from something like Crash Bandicoot, which was great in its own right, to something that was phenomenal in the Uncharted series. Now that I've gushed a little bit, let's talk about the ins and outs of the game. Graphically, the game looks polished and fantastic. I'm still using an original PS4, but I imagine on the PS4 Pro, the game looks even better. Oftentimes, with a big open-world game, we've come to expect some graphical hiccups, similar to what we've all seen with Fallout. But during my playthrough of Horizon Zero Dawn, I didn't experience any of that. Usually, when I play games, the sound is not something that concerns me unless it's a VR game that I'm playing with 3D audio. However, in Horizon, one of the things that struck me was the little nuances that the developers put into the sound. For example, each dinosaur makes a distinct noise, so much so that even if you're not looking at them, you can generally tell what kind of dinosaur is behind you. And even the sound that comes through the controller speaker is well implemented when picking up the data logs. Obviously, audio is not something you can write home about when you're playing video games, but I was just surprised by the little touches that the developers were willing to put into the game. Now we get into the meat and potatoes of the game, which would be the gameplay itself. In terms of the story and the gameplay, Horizon takes what we know about open-world games in the current gen and applies a lot of the same traits, but does so with extreme polish. Often in open-world games, the story takes a back seat to the expanse of the environment and the beautiful graphics. With Horizon Zero Dawn, this is far from the case. The game is extremely story-driven, and feels even more fleshed out than the likes of the recent Tomb Raider game, or the often criticized Assassin's Creed series. One thing I appreciated most of all was that Horizon, in its story delivery and questing format, gave you a purpose. Oftentimes when I play open world games, I feel like doing side quests is just a chore, and I only do them because of a trophy or because I have to in order to level up enough to succeed in the main story. With Horizon, I found myself actually listening to what the NPCs were saying and wanted to learn about their connection to the world and the civil strife between them and other characters in the game. You're probably thinking now, okay, you told us the story is great, but what is it about? I guess the spoiler-free explanation would be that the game takes place in a post-apocalyptic environment where the world has been completely wrecked and overrun by machines. This is the world that the main character, Aloy, who you play as, has known all her life, so throughout the game, she's on a quest to obviously defeat the machines, but also to discover her own history and the history of the world that she never knew. Throughout the game's 20 to 40 hour campaign, depending on what you do, the pacing and timing of the quests and their delivery is spot on. As you're playing, you'll constantly find yourself wanting to know more, which will keep you tied into the questing loop. The game features a lot of fighting, so obviously combat is important. And again, because of the scale of the game, one probably wouldn't expect the combat to be that deep, but it was actually one of the things I most appreciated about the title. In Horizon Zero Dawn, there are many fights that you can literally approach however you want. You have the option to use stealth, or you can go in arrows blazing. And when it comes to weapons, there are certain weapons that every enemy is weak to, but you can also use any combination of weapons you see fit to take down the enemies in your own way. This do-it-yourself approach to combat allows the game to still feel interesting even 40 hours into the campaign. And there are even traps and abilities that will allow you to apply a more strategic approach to combat as well. Additionally, the developers made sure to create their machines modeled after different animals and dinosaurs, so that each machine has its own unique characteristic appearance and fighting style. It was one of the few games I've played in recent memory that actually made me feel as though various enemies have their own personalities. It is also important to note that on higher difficulties, the human AI do present more of a challenge rather than just standing around serving as your personal piñatas. Now, I know when it comes to new IP, in video games especially, players are often skeptical to take the plunge and buy a full-price game, but in the case of Horizon, it couldn't be more worth your money. If you want to complete everything, you're looking at anywhere from 50 to 70 hours. The game does not have a New Game Plus, which is a flaw, I think, but after you beat the main story, it does allow you to go back and complete any collectibles or side quest challenges that you might have missed. If you're skeptical about this game, you're probably wondering, what are some of its weaknesses? If all these positives are apparent, then what are my reasons that I might not want to pick up this title? Well, in the 75 hours that I put into the game, I only found a few flaws. Mainly, there were a couple times where the character facial animations seemed a little bit unnatural in their movements, which was occasionally distracting. Aside from that, the only issue I saw with the game itself was the structure of the side quests. I love the fact that many times the side quests tied into the overarching story in the world, but the format of the quest didn't offer too much variety. As a matter of fact, the quests are usually fetch-based or kill-based or follow the tracks to this area, rinse and repeat. I felt like there could have been a little more variety in the questing, but again, that's just a minor issue with me since the rest of the game was so phenomenal. Now, I'm not one to give a number score in my reviews, but I will say that the scores that most online outlets have given the game are high, and that's for good reason. If you enjoy beautiful, story-driven games with a great deal of thought put into the narrative, a rewarding leveling system that makes almost any in-game task worth doing, satisfying combat that allows the player to incorporate their own playstyle, and characters that you can invest your time in and care about, Horizon Zero Dawn is the game for you. You will definitely get your money's worth, as there is plenty of content, and the developers have already stated that they are working on some story-based DLC for the future. It is with great confidence that I can tell anybody that's considering picking up the game to run out and get it. You won't be disappointed. I appreciate you guys watching this video, and until next time, this has been the Handicapable Gamer. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share, and if you want to know more about me and this channel, feel free to check out my Patreon. The links will be in the description. I'll talk to all you guys soon. Take care.